Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey there, and welcome to you. Dog sitting right next to me, which is not supposed to be happening, but maybe there'll be a noisy departure momentarily. Hi, it's November 14, and it's a Tuesday. So, Susan, I think I hear.
Yeah.
Hi.
Dog walker is late.
No, dog. Here we go. It's we're dog is exiting the premises
Cool.
as we speak. Okay. Oh man, I am very phlegmatic. What does that mean, phlegmatic?
I don't know.
We don't know.
Not phlegmy, huh?
No, but I don't think that has anything to do with phlegm.
I don't
just
either.
Saying.
Here.
Wait a minute. Okay, you look it up. What
I'm
does
looking it up.
phlegmatic mean? I frankly was thinking of I'm very filled with phlegm.
It's of a person having an unemotional and stolidly calm disposition.
Huh.
The phlegmatic British character, for example.
Well, I would never then be phlegmatic.
No.
Or are you?
No.
It's not in our genes.
Stoic isn't sort of.
but
we can live through anything, but we're going to scream all the way.
So I don't know what the derivation is then of what, phlegm. Phlegm. What I was thinking is I'm full of phlegm. And then I realized it was spelled phlegm. And then I was thinking, how the hell does anybody learn how to speak or write in this language? I mean, where no rules seem to apply for long. How is phlegm?
Well, it's easier than Chinese, where everything has its own character.
Yeah, I know. That is true. But my God, phlegm, I'm serious. Okay, we're learning how to speak English. Here's the letter P. What does it sound like? Puh. Well, yeah, unless you put an H after it, and then it's F. And even with the PH at the end of a word, I mean, my God. And then what's that G doing in there? Phlegm.
I don't know. And when I look it up, I'm not getting any derivations. I'm just getting stuff about phlegm, of course.
No, okay. Well,
which is really, now there's a picture of phlegm, which is equally
all right,
disgusting.
Susan, I do not want, okay. Phlegm is a synonym of mucus, is it not?
Well, it's a thicker kind of mucus.
Okay, let's stop right now. Okay, then it's worse than I thought.
Comes in different colors.
No, all right, stop it.
You started it. I'm just helping.
I know, but I was interested not in the viscosity of various forms of it. I was interested in the spelling.
Yeah, I can't find anything about I got to go to the Old English Dictionary to get the derivation.
The
etymology.
Or etymology. Which one's insect and which one's words?
This is all too much for me in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so. I don't know where to start. Okay. Oh, I want to start with one thing. Susan, I was at the Packer-Steeler game.
I know you were.
Yeah.
Fine results there. Right.
Yeah, well.
No, you win. I insist. No.
No, please. Could one of us please, snatch victory from the jaws of defeat here? No, go ahead. Go for it.
Go for it. You're the guest. Oh, I insist. You're the host.
No, please. You go. Oh God!
I don't get all upset about these things the way people seem to. I thoroughly believe that there are years the teams need to rebuild, and that's when other teams get to show their stuff, which is nice for the other teams.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was saying to the woman from Cleveland who was sitting near me. and she was with a guy from Detroit. And I said, I'm rooting for you guys in Detroit because you've been wandering in the desert for so long. Go for it. The Packers have had such a high, wondrous ride for some time now. And, fine. I mean, I remember when they were horribly lousy before Lombardi in the 50s. And it's not like they haven't done that, been a joke of a team. But, thank God for the Bears.
Speaking of the Packers, I had a phone call from an old friend, Iris, the other day. And she was just calling up laughing because she had thought of a story about us trying to buy formals for one of our high school balls. And we went to one of the two stores that had them. And Cherry Star, Bart's wife, had taken all of the dresses out in our size because the junior league ball was at around the same time. And she couldn't make up her mind. And Iris seems to remember, I don't remember this, that I called Cherry Star impersonating our mother and said that the owner had said that she had all the dresses. And if she had made up her mind, could she possibly bring back the ones that she knew she didn't want so that the girls had some choices for their winter ball? And Cherry said, certainly. Yeah.
Yeah, she was a nice lady.
She's a nice woman, so she brought him back. But fast forward 20 years, and my friend who lives in Arizona sees Bart and Cherry Star having breakfast at this restaurant that she's at with her husband, and she wanders over to say hello. And Bart remembers her father, and they start talking, and Iris says, Cherry, I have a confession to make. And tells her the story. And Bart interrupts to say that it sounds just like Cherry hogging all the merchandise.
Oh, that's
and Iris said that Cherry just got a real kick out of it. Thought it was hysterical. Jeez. This was the advantage. And the reason that I could do this, gang, is if you think that my sister and I sound alike, we also sound exactly like our mother. And we have always sounded exactly alike. So I would accept dates for Lynn that she had no idea about.
No, that is so not true. No one ever asked me out. God. So, okay. So, yeah. Well, anyway, so I went to the game, and it was, but I was mentioning yesterday some of the things that I had noted there, but I forgot one, and I just want to make note of it today. I was surprised. I saw something that I hadn't seen before. I have not been to a NFL game in, I don't know, maybe 10 years, maybe. I mean, normally I would go to Packer games if I were around, but I just haven't. Been there, done that, don't need to. Rather watch on TV, warm, and whatever. So I hadn't seen what I saw, which is a whole bunch. It was before the game started. The teams were on the field, and some of the Steelers, I'd say about 7 of them, were down in the end zone on their knees praying. That's what I said. I said,
because God prefers their team to the other team?
No,
I mean, really?
But no, that's what I used to think. Because I once, when I was a TV reporter, did something about all the God after the game player that gets, saying, well, I want to thank God, first of all. And I'm thinking, like, God gives a damn about this game or who wins, or he's taking sides. I mean, what nonsense. But then I got such blowback. Oh my God. So here, and I'm willing to give them this, that what they're doing is thanking God for giving them the prowess, the ability to do this thing that they love to do. That makes more sense to me if you're a believer, right? Help me here. So,
well, or it could be, please God, make sure that I don't die sometime during this event.
I know. Well, that's like if somebody crosses themselves before they take a free throw, and changing sports, a free throw. That strikes me as ridiculous. Although because you would think please God, let me think this. That's so silly and petty but if they're just doing it to say, it makes no sense there. Makes no sense. But I could, whatever. There were so many of them down there, and they were on their knees, and some had their hands.
To me, it's just that it is unseemly, these public displays of religiosity. This is supposed to be something that is yours, that is private, that is sustaining. But when you have to show everybody how godly you are, there's something ungodly about that.
Well, I agree, and that's where I was heading. But again, we come from a different tradition. Jews do not believe in proselytizing, in being public about religion. We don't try to make other people.
We found it to be basically unhealthy for us.
Well, no, I just think that's not.
It is part of, if you read our holy books, it is part of the admonitions. And part of theirs, too.
Well, but there's also this stuff. Anyway, but we don't belong to a religion that says, hey, spread this word and bring in more believers. We do not.
Mm-mm.
But a lot of Christians do, and I don't know about Muslims. Maybe they do, too. I don't know whatever it is. So for us, public displays of religion it can be off-putting because we think of it as Susan said, something
aggressively self-satisfied.
Well, it's a lot like it's virtue signaling in a way. It's like, it's performative.
Mm-hmm.
But here again, I want to say that some of those players that were down there doing that might not think of it that way, that is from where they come and that's what they do. So they didn't mean to annoy me. But I don't see a football game as, well, for that matter, I don't see a football game as the place for
it's a prayable event.
Religiosity and or fetishization of militarism. And yet that occurs at all NFL games with the
flyovers,
the flyovers, and they're always, trotting out, veterans and stuff like that. I mean, fine, but it's odd, and we accept it because it's what we know and what we see. But it's odd, and the game would be a lot more inclusive if this, and the religiosity, let's make clear, is Christian. There ain't anybody throwing down a prayer rug in the end zone. It's Christian prayer. And the Christianizing and militarization is off-putting. That's all I want to say. It's not a huge thing, but it's off-putting, and it's something that most people wouldn't even notice.
Well, because it's their religion, but it's not a state religion. However, there is freedom of religion, and there's nothing to stop those people from doing that.
It's not a state religion. I came upon something. You made me think of it. I'm going to find it. I'm going to go right for it. Yep. This is North Dakota State Representative Brandon Prichard losing his mind after the Ohio referendum that, safeguarded
abortion,
women's health care. Right. So he went off on a rant on democracy should not exist, essentially, direct democracy. I noted that our former Senator Rick Sanctimony
feels the same way.
Feels the same way. So
those white guys need to protect us from our ignorance.
So what he said, he went on to say, it would be an act of courage to ignore the results. So that's how they think now. The voters vote, and if Republicans don't like the vote, then they think it's courageous to ignore the results, as Donald Trump has done, as they, and my understanding is that the Republicans in control of the legislature in Ohio are already busily
passing legislation to overturn it. That's what they do in Missouri. When
that's what they do. So they don't. Right. This is how they play. They don't approve of democracy when the result is not in their favor. And this same guy, this is why I wanted to go there, is also on record as having said that the states that are Republican dominated, that have, control, and that I believe that's half of them, 25. He said, quote, should put into code that Jesus Christ is king and dedicate their state to him.
Can we force these people to sit in a closed room with nothing but the Constitution and a glass of water for a month?
They don't like it. They don't like the Constitution. They ain't for it. They are as far from patriots as they can be. They are a menace.
Yeah, they're religious fascists. Yeah.
Well, and they're just going to town, which brings us to the man who could well be president again, and I'm starting to believe it's a possibility. Trump.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
The rhetoric, the increase in flat out fascistic rhetoric is mind blowing. Let me quote some of recent words of Donald J. Trump. And if it doesn't make your blood run cold, then I don't know where you've been. He said this on Veterans Day in New Hampshire. In honor of our great veterans on Veterans Day, we pledge to you that we will root out the communists, Marxists, racists, and radical left thugs that live like vermin within the confines of our country, lie, steal, and cheat, and will do anything possible, whether legally or illegally, to destroy America. Despite
it's just amazing.
No, it is.
He's describing himself.
No, but he's also, this is just absolute Adolf Hitler.
Yeah, I know.
So despite the hatred he goes on, of the radical left lunatics who want to destroy our country, we will make words. Hitler used the word vermin to speak of the Jews. And that is the first step that is always taken when you want to dehumanize people you intend to eradicate, like you do vermin. So Trump calling essentially Democrats, anyone who doesn't support him, falls into this category of vermin, to be eradicated. Now, what makes, there was another one, Trump, he also said that immigrants were poisoning the blood of our country. That's another classic. Jews were poisoning the blood.
Yeah.
Right. That's all I'm saying. He is literally literally trafficking. There's no subtlety here. This is fascism 101. And that so many Americans are
goose stepping behind them,
are in it. So someone pointed this out, that the media, as usual, are just not. This should be huge. It needs to be called out. I mean, Liz Cheney flat out called it out. She brought up the thing you're never supposed to bring up. She says those are Hitler's words. And I guess it's impolite to.
It's rude to notice. Hitler. Yes.
Yes, it's rude to notice that. Oh, that's going too far. Well, no, it's not anymore. It's just right on the money, and always was. But the headline in the New York Times, and I gotta stop giving them money. Trump. The headline in the New York Times for the Vermin speech. Quote, Trump takes Veterans Day speech in a very different direction. That was the headline, which would not, that's a headline, by the way, that does not attract you. It doesn't suggest that something, it takes it in a very different direction. That is as mealy a headline to a man who has been president and wants to be again, using Hitlerian rhetoric, as you can imagine. And somebody who saw that headline and went berserk said, let's rewrite that headline, or let's imagine it in another context. And he came up with this. John Wilkes Booth takes visit to the theater in a very different direction. That's the same kind of very. Yeah. Booth kills Lincoln. Trump quotes Hitler. It's missing the you. So I'm just saying. Some headline writers are awake. Forbes, I don't think of as a Forbes, accurately headlined their story on it, saying Trump compares political foes to vermin, echoing Nazi propaganda. There's the headline. And this kind of thing matters.
Well, it's like if you watch the national news, which I did last night on, one of the main networks, and I'm looking at the Israeli war coverage, and they do one story, making Israel look this way, and then one story making Hamas look this way, and then another story making Israel look this way, and then another story. And I looked at our brother and I said, did you notice they're just doing, well, on the one hand, and then on the other hand, and then on the one hand, and then as if it's all an equivalency.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're walking a tightrope.
They are. Everybody is.
Milton has sent us this regarding Christian public displays of Christianity. And he says, you can't get more Christian doctrine than the book of Matthew. And he quotes Matthew 6, chapter 6, verse 5, this is Jesus's words. When you pray, don't be like the hypocrites who love to pray publicly on street corners and in the synagogues where everyone can see them. I tell you the truth, that is all the reward they will ever get. So that's Jesus nixing this idea of public prayer. But,
Yeah. Thank you. I couldn't bring up the passage, but I knew that existed. Thank you.
Okay. I don't know where to go here. I'm so unhappy. I don't want to. Okay. One of the things I'm seeing on Twitter is a lot of just extraordinary anti-Semitism, and also efforts on the part of, I guess, Jews to hit back. And there's a site, actually, something, I forget what it's called, something about anti-Semitism, like Fight Anti-Semitism. And it's been posting some of the more egregious anti-Semitic stuff that's popping up. They repost it with identification of the person who posted it. Now, we all know what this is. This is, I've never liked this. This is an attempt.
This is doxing, it's called.
Doxing, or to just get these people. And in some cases, these people are so, like the people who are defacing the pictures of the hostages. Put up. So they put up the videos of these people defacing them or ripping them down. And they say, can you identify this person? Well, yeah, they get identified. And then they're found out to be like the diversity officer at a university. No, some of what ends up, who these people are, is just mind blowing. But here's a guy. This one, his quote particularly, just freaked me out. And it was reposted along with his employment. And I saw today that the employer has probably, he's going to lose his job. Some of these people are losing their jobs. He had posted this. Why would, you'd have to fervently believe something to post it, I guess. Something this, here it is. It's a guy named Amaury Latour. And he did it in French, because I think he is French, but he works in the United States as a senior project manager to something called Punch Cut. I don't know what that is. And he wrote this. I hope your ancestors died in ovens. And it will be this. He's just getting started. And it will be the same for you and your family soon, during the second Holocaust. Fingers crossed, he writes. When that happens, I'm going to shit on Israeli flags while dancing. Now, anyway, I think he's out of a job.
Well, good. Everybody has free speech. That doesn't mean there aren't consequences.
True.
You can't conflate the two. If you're gonna, if you want to, engage in hate speech, there should be consequences.
Yeah. Oy. So here's what I want to say. In regard to the
won't make that guy like Jews any much. Now they've cost him his job.
Yeah, because they're so powerful.
Right.
Because they control everything. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about this hospital. El Shifa. First of all, it's. I don't know if you've seen the satellite imagery. It isn't just a hospital. It is a huge. There are a ton of buildings. It looks like a
campus.
Yes. Okay. A campus. Lots of buildings. It's big. And my question, I guess, then I need to ask those who are calling for Israel to cease and desist, because obviously pictures of people in hospitals suffering as they are and in harm's way as they are so horrific. You would have to have a heart of stone not to. Oh, she's coughing. I was going to ask her what she's doing. Okay. What not to, be appalled and horrified. But of course, that's exactly what Hamas intended.
Of course.
When it went after the Israelis on October 7th.
And when it builds its headquarters underneath that hospital.
Well, but see, it turns out, and the Israelis have said this, they have spent, Hamas, the last 17 years building this unbelievably intricate network underground. And it's far underground. I mean, it's not just a little, it is amazing what they've done.
And it's why they're stealing all the fuel to keep the air running through them.
It's also why they haven't helped the people they supposedly govern by making their infrastructure or lives above ground any better. They've taken everything to build these tunnels to make war on Israel.
Nor will they allow any civilians in said tunnels. Yeah.
Right. And what they're doing is cynically, of course, saying, okay, come and get us. You're going to have to take out a hospital full of children in incubators, full of old people, sick people, pregnant women. Come on, come and get us. So what I want to know, because it's not just this hospital, every hospital, tons of mosques, schools. This is where they have their munitions, their organizational stuff, their administrations, their operations. And here's my question. What would you have? What would you have? I mean, that's why I can't even get it out. What are they to do then, the Israelis? How are they? You mean they're just supposed to let Hamas come in and slaughter their citizenry and then run back and hide underneath their citizenry without Israel, any country who had suffered that kind of attack would, of course, respond. But if the only way you can respond, the only way you can get at the enemy is to go through hospitals and schools, because that's how the enemy devised it, then make no mistake, all these Gazans who are dying, all these people in these hospitals, it is Hamas who is responsible for their horrific
I don't understand how that point is so easily lost. I just don't.
Well, I don't know either. I have my suspicions, but I have mine either. Too. Okay. I was stunned to come across this. First of all, this is from the New York Times. One of their reporters in 2008, so that's a ways back, watched armed Hamas militants walking around Al-Shifa Hospital and witnessed them execute a Palestinian man accused of collaboration with Israel. So the Hamas was walking around armed in that hospital 15 years ago. And
killing people.
It's killing a few. And then listen to this. years after that, Amnesty International, no friend to Israel, let me tell you. The lefties at Amnesty International concluded that Hamas was using parts of Al-Shifa Hospital, quote, this is from Amnesty's report, to detain, interrogate, torture, and otherwise ill-treat suspects, even as other parts of the hospital continued to function as a medical center. That's from 2014. This has been going on forever. How do you attack? How do you fight despicable, dishonorable people that literally put dying, sick civilians in between them and the people that are supposedly fighting? How do you fight someone who does not use or abide by any of the rules, and yet you try to? My understanding, by the way, of the rules is if it is known, this is, there are actually rules of war. If it is known that, let's say, a hospital is being used as this hospital is being used, it does become fair game by the rules of war.
Yeah.
And it's clear who's putting them at risk. Hamas, those cynical, despicable terrorists who have no problem killing their own if it advances their dream of creating a Iranian Islamist state for the Palestinians. And it won't be a place a lot of people would be happy living. Just want to have this other fact that came out that people, again, don't understand. The Israeli Defense Force, the IDF, would it blow you away to know that 5,000, give or take, of the soldiers in the IDF are Palestinians? See, some people would say, what? How is that even possible? Well, it's possible because
they're Israeli citizens.
A huge portion of the Israeli population is Arab, Palestinian, the ones who stayed. And some of them feel very Israeli. They call themselves, if you would ask, what's your identity? They would say that they are an Israeli Arab, more than saying that they were Palestinian. They tend to identify as Israeli Arabs. They, unlike the Jews in the country, do not have mandatory service in the military, but they are free to volunteer. And 5,000 Arab Israelis are fighting alongside their Jewish countrymen and women. And it's something, again, but apartheid, but what? And they can vote. And in fact, there's Arabs on the Supreme Court of Israel, Arabs in the Knesset, the parliament. I'm not saying there's not room for a lot of improvement there.
But it's better than expelling them from the country the way every single Arab country has expelled Jews.
It's beyond,
it's just,
give up. There's such
the dialogue is just ridiculous.
Okay, so today, and I'll be very curious to see how it comes off. Today, there will be a heavily guarded, I am sure, rally. They're calling it a March for Israel, but it's not a march. So somebody really screwed up the naming of this thing. It is not a march. It is a rally at the on the National Mall of people who are supporting Israel. And that happens at 1 o'clock this afternoon. The Department of Homeland Security has determined that this event will require extensive federal interagency support. In fact, it has deemed it a level 1 security event, the highest in its ranking system. Isn't that something?
Yeah, because so many of our fine citizens want to kill us. Honest to Pete.
Okay, so I'm just saying. I know a lot of buses left Pittsburgh today, 5 o'clock this morning. A lot. Jews are en route now. And I hope there's no violence. That's all I want to say. I hope there's no violence and that it turns out Jews can gather like that and say what they need to say and show their support. I don't know. So, there's that. Oh, totally out there, Susan. Has nothing to do with anything we've been talking about.
Oh, good.
I know. I've had this thing. I've had this gathering mold in my little basket here, and just never got around to it. But it's so, when I first read it, just blew me away. Okay, I'm just gonna. This has to do with the fact that long distance trucking companies are desperate for more drivers. And a lot of women are
driving trucks. Yeah.
So here is the story. Trucking companies often refuse to hire women. The reason being, and obviously it's against the law,
right?
But the reason is because fewer than 5% of truck drivers in the United States are women, and the companies, do not want them being trained by men. Stop and think about it. If you're doing long distance stuff and you send somebody, the woman, out with a trainer who will be a male, are they supposed to sleep in that little thing together? So what the trucking companies have said is that if they don't have another woman available to train another woman, then they simply cannot hire the woman. And it says this, it shows that, let me just get through here. This is same-sex training practices are common across the industry, even though a federal judge ruled 10 years ago that it was unlawful for a trucking company to require that female job candidates be paired only with female trainers. And companies that insist, nevertheless, on only having women train women do so because they're fearful of claims of sexual harassment.
Well,
because trainers typically spend weeks alone on the road where the two often have to sleep in the same cab. This is sticky, isn't it?
There has to be, then there is an accommodation made. There is such a thing as a motel. And during the training process, you can actually have the company pay for them to not have to sleep together. That is just bull. That it's also predicated on the quote fact unquote that men are by their nature untrustworthy and could not be ever expected to behave properly in that situation if they couldn't make an accommodation. But built into every law is the requirement for accommodation. And if the trucking companies are refusing to make the accommodation, they are in violation of the law, the court's judgment, and the Constitution. Period.
Yeah. Here they quote a guy who recently sold his trucking company, and he said, I stopped using those sleeper cabs decades ago, and I send the drivers and trainees to hotels.
Duh.
Yeah. He said fewer of his drivers quit compared with the rest of the industry as a result. And then he's quoted as saying, what woman in her right mind wants to go out and learn how to drive a truck and have to jump into the sleeper that some guys just crawled out of? So he understood, and he said, I'm putting them up in hotels.
It's part of the expense, of training, and you can deduct it. It's a business expense. This is just the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, but the trucking companies, no one's enforcing this. I mean, they continue to disregard and to not hire women. And they were saying that for somebody who doesn't have a college degree, being a trucker is a desirable
great job.
Well, it's, maybe minimally you make $50,000 a year, and many make much, much more. So this headline was, women could fill truck driver jobs. Companies won't let them.
It's just crazy.
Okay. Yeah.
We need a few more women to start suing the companies again.
Oh boy. Okay. So the Supreme Court, we're told,
has an ethics rules.
It's bullshit.
I know it is.
It's total.
There's no, but what happens if there's
no enforcement? It's a bunch of mealy-mouthed nothing. Here, let me go to, I think Robert Reich has a good take on it. Friends, he says, yesterday the Supreme Court announced an ethics code, but it's utterly empty. It has no enforcement mechanism and no mechanism for the public to lodge complaints. No more than PR pablum.
Of course. What it is, oops, if we don't do this, they're going to do it for us. That's what it is.
Well, the reality is that, my God. So the new code would have had no effect on any of, I think the new code would not have applied to a lot of the stuff that we've been appalled by with Thomas and such. And the rules do not require any changes in how the justices conduct themselves. Jeez. The only reason they did this is because the Senate Judiciary Committee, headed by Sheldon Whitehouse, who I've heard on this subject, and he's just brilliant on it. he has, they have issued subpoenas to these billionaires.
Right.
Who've been palling up to Alito and Thomas and the others, and the crew from the Federalist Society, Leonard Leo, who have essentially made this court. They have made this court because they had Trump as their useful idiot in the presidency at the time. And White House says this: the reason they're going to keep on looking into this is he feels it's a true conspiracy. He says we need to see and understand how systemic this was. This isn't just about a random gift here and there. It's always the same individuals, the same front groups. There's a network effect here that we need to understand. And what you have is billionaires with a demonstrated pattern of trying to influence the Supreme Court through a whole variety of groups, charitable groups included, by giving donations and participating, who are at the same time also giving enormous, massive secret gifts to justices. And I mean, just on its face, that stinks to high heaven. And if anything like this happened in any other court in the United States, it would have long ago been investigated. It's only the Supreme Court that is able to live outside the bounds of rules. And this code of ethics that they trotted out yesterday changes absolutely nothing. I don't know what we're going to do. Yeah. So anyway, let me take a moment to cry someone I just makes my skin crawl, and that would be Joe Manchin.
Oh, God.
Okay, so he doesn't want to get killed in the re-election effort,
so he thought he'd bring the country down instead.
Yeah, so he now instead says he's going to be out there trying to ascertain, what the American people really want. And I think he's quoted as saying he's gauging interest in creating a movement to mobilize the middle and bring America together. Everybody knows that that means he is probably seeking the no labels group's presidential nomination. We already have the creep Jill Stein, the Green Party candidate.
What is with her? Honest to Pete.
I don't know. She's already announced. And she says, forget the politicians who tell you to ignore the struggle and keep voting for those who caused it. They always smear outsiders like us. Okay, so now, there's no doubt that the Green Party pulls votes away from Democrats more than Republicans. Manchin could easily peel off more of those suburban, middle of the road types. You also have others popping up. There's a guy who's the Minnesota congressman who's running in primaries against Biden. All of these people are going to cause harm, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And it's scary now. The scary thing now is the Democrats have got somehow, despite the gerrymandering and the so many congressional districts being impenetrable, they're stuck. They are Republican or Democrat. there's got to be, we've got to take the House back, because the odds of us losing the Senate are pretty high. Pretty high. They are, in case you haven't bothered to.
I actually have some hopes that Hawley's going to lose this year. We'll see.
Well, let's hope.
Well, the guy that's running against him is running for the second time and is not going to have the issue with Trudy Bush getting in his way again. And this guy, I think, can win. So we'll
you're
see.
Talking, though, about Missouri, that is just such a red state.
Yeah.
I don't see how. I don't know. The fact is, the Senate Democrats are having to play defense on 7 Senate seats. There's 7 that both Republicans and Democrats would say are up for grabs. And it's scary. We got John Tester in Montana. How the hell that Democrat keeps winning, I don't know. And he's in potential trouble. There's one loss, potentially. You've got Sherrod Brown in Ohio. How the hell Ohio voters continue? Boy, are they misrepresented. I mean, they elect one of the most progressive senators in the country, Sherrod Brown. And then they have locked in Republican legislature and governors.
Right.
It's just bizarre. So Arizona is another place that we're going to have to watch. There might be a 3-way race for a Senate seat there. And listen to who we got. We got the current holder of that seat, Sinema. She will not run as a Democrat, because she ain't. She will run as an independent. The Democrat will be a very popular House member, Ruben Gallego. And the Republicans will put up the Trumpian, noxious former anchor woman, Carrie Lake, the one who has continued to say the election was stolen. So you got Sinema. I would imagine Sinema I think the Democrats might take that. Don't you think? Sinema and Lake might.
Yeah, I think, I do.
Maybe. Let's hope. In Wisconsin, you've got a Democrat, Tammy Baldwin, first lesbian elected to the Senate. She's up for re-election. And I would think she's okay.
I think she's okay. People here like her.
Yeah, here in Pennsylvania, you have Bob Casey. He's up for re-election, and the odds are he will run against this billionaire who doesn't even live here, a guy named Dave McCormick, who's telegenic and, blah, 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 blah. He got knocked out, Susan, in the primary last time. He was trying to get into the Senate last time, and he lost out to Dr. Oz.
Right.
And then Dr. Oz went on to lose to John Fetterman. So we've got Fetterman in the seat. Casey,
but Pennsylvania's been doing a good job. They've been voting right lately,
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, just nothing can be taken for granted. The loathsome Ted Cruz is up for re-election, and I don't know that the Democrats have anyone this time to run against him. It looks like what's his name, who ran last time, is not into it.
Well, how many times can he lose,
Yeah, well, that's true, too. So this is going to be, all of this will, start looking clearer soon. Good God, how did it get to be that late?
Well, you've been talking.
I done been talking. I guess I have. Okay, Suze. Well, listen, I'll see you Saturday.
Okay. Looking forward to it. I'm going to have to change all the sheets 6 times before then, but okay.
That's very good. It's good exercise.
Yes, it is. It's nice to have everybody dropping in. So, okay. Look forward to it.
All right, Suze. Yeah, careful travels. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, you guys. So that's it for me. I'll be back tomorrow, and we'll do it again.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.